Hi, I'm Stephen Dwight Mueller, and I'm filming another one in my series of programs called The Imaginary Make-Believe Fairy Tale Unofficial Pity Party for America Continued, with the imaginary make-believe fairy tale unofficial presidential candidate Stephen Dwight Mueller, serving the real America as a spiritual guide, although unknown and unseen, for 35 years plus or minus. By the way, you can Google my name, Stephen Dwight Mueller, and there'll be a link to Denver Open Media, and you can view my 2.5-hour autobiography. It's in 3 parts there, and this will let you know a little bit more about me and my views. I also wanted to mentioned last week, one of my political advisors, and there she is, Blackberry, my kitty. She's 22 years old this year, 2011, and she's a welcome addition to this party. And now what I want to talk about is the Food and Drug Administration, the FDA. I was going to talk about electors, but we'll do that at a different time. The citizens of my make-believe fictitious America must create a mandate for the FDA, as it appears that there isn't one at this time that's in force or enforceable in the real America. So, I must define a mandate again, and I will do this in every episode, every program I'm doing here, because it is the foundation of true constitutional power in the real America and in my imaginary fairy tale fictitious America. I use an old family dictionary, the Random House Dictionary of the English Language, the unabridged edition, and it's a huge thing. It was published, copyright 1967 by Random House. And regarding in politics, a mandate is a command or authorization to act in a particular way on a public issue given by the electorate to its representatives. This reveals the need to understand that government, or the representatives, do not give the command or authorization to act on issues to itself. That is ass-backward government. If that were true, the definition would state that the representatives are commanded or authorized to act in a peculiar way, not a particular way. Let's go to the FDA here. And last year, 2010, I was flipping through the channels, and by accident, quote unquote, I say that because I think God led me to this, I saw this presentation by the Food and Drug Administration on the C-SPAN channel. And pay attention to what the 2 moderators are saying. The quality of the tape is not very good, so I'll freeze frame it at the end and then talk about the points they make.
But we have seen drugs stay on the market with known serious safety risks, things like Tysabri or Zelnorm, for people with very specific diseases. For a product to work and work well, sometimes the safety risks are acceptable for that group of patients.
The FDA outlines on its website the process of testing and approving drugs in this country. It begins with a simple process that the companies will test the drug on their own, and then what's called the Center for Drug Evaluation.
Well, actually, I'm going to read that to you because I have a bad tape in there. But it did tape it, and I can read it, and I will tell you what this man was saying. Like I say, he said it's on the FDA website. So, first, the drug companies themselves test the drugs. Now, this is a huge conflict of interest. Then, the Center for Drug Evaluation and Research, the CDER, evaluates the new drug. Now, unless this is a branch of the Food and Drug Administration, up to this point, the FDA has done nothing by itself. And at the end, if the reviews of the drug's benefits and the tests done by the drug companies outweigh the risks, the drug is approved for sale by the FDA. And they did nothing. So, we're all aware of the drug advertisements on television and their disclaimers and their blurbs to supposedly, I guess, warn us of cases like a lot of drugs these days. There are several, and I know you've seen the commercials, can cause tuberculosis. Now, tuberculosis is a disease that medicine and health groups like Kellogg's, the cereal maker, essentially eradicated. Now, we can take several drugs which ease pain and suffering of one disease and create in a person tuberculosis. Here's the definition of tuberculosis from my huge dictionary. An infectious disease that may affect almost any tissue of the body. What? So we better define infectious. It's communicable, can be passed from one to another by infection. Look it up. As from one person to another, or from one part of the body to another. Back up here. That short blurb in the TV commercial say what? Can cause tuberculosis, and then quickly moves on. They don't say it can be spread to other portions of the body or from one person to another. We don't know that. The FDA didn't require that. Just a short blurb. Can cause tuberculosis. La-di-da-di-da-di-da. And I'm living in the make-believe fairy tale America, right? No, that's from the real America. And so we all kind of remember Doc Holliday, that tragic Old West figure. He had tuberculosis of the lungs and he would cough up blood. But nothing stresses that this can be spread, not just to other body parts, but to other people. We can give this nightmarish gift to, say, our children or grandchildren. Well, okay, is there a solution to this? Or a resolution to this, I should say? Yes, the citizens must create a mandate which directs the representatives on this particular issue. The FDA must order withdrawal of these drugs. The FDA must become involved in testing these drugs. And the FDA must become involved in testing homeopathic remedies. They don't evaluate those drugs because they don't do the work. The drug companies do the testing, remember? So they don't want to do the work. And I think that instead of giving billions and billions and maybe $1 trillion to banks and to bail out corporations, we'd give billions to the FDA to have better testing and to enforce better rules so we don't get more diseases and harm ourselves more by taking a drug that was for one other particular purpose. Drug companies must face significant fines and criminal charges and stop producing such dangerous drugs. The drug companies are more than willing to allow class action lawsuits and payouts, large payouts, if this will keep them able to receive all the billions from current sales. Doctors must honor the Hippocratic Oath, which states, first, do no harm. Stop prescribing these medications which so publicly proclaim in advertisements the horrendous side effects. You're aware of these, so if you prescribe them, you're doing harm to your patients. Finally, we the people, the citizens, the patients, must stop doing what these advertisements tell us to do. Talk to your doctor and see if this medication is right for you. No, let's not do that. Maybe we can require the doctors to be more informed or hire better chemists, biologists, researchers to create drugs that won't have these dangerous, life-threatening, deadly side effects. Maybe that. But we know America's educational system is pretty far down the list in that regard right now. So, in the next program, I'm going to heal certain types of cancer. I will stop some suicides, and I will give the cure for tuberculosis again. And I imagine the Nobel Peace Prize Committee or the Nobel Prize Committee will be trying to find me